Mini Lesson 4. What's the big idea?
When I'm moved by a great book, story, or poem, I like to tell my friends about it. Learning to respond to what you read is an important part of being a good reader and speaker. One way to tell a story is to write a poem. Some poems use rhyming words. Poems can have the same parts as a story. A poem can have a character. A character is who the poem is about. A poem can have a setting. The setting is where the poem's story takes place. A poem can have a plot. A plot is what happens in the poem's story. Let's listen to a poem called Ollie the Octopus. As you listen, think about the character, setting, and plot. And listen for words that rhyme. Ollie the Octopus lives in the sea. His home is a bottle that he got for free. He can swim fast through the eelgrass. And he can swim slow. Hey, where'd he go? When he gets scared, he hides by the rocks. Or he'll shoot ink. He's as sly as a fox. One thing is for sure, Ollie is cool. But you don't want Ollie to swim in your pool. Let's take a closer look at the poem and see if we can answer these questions. Who is the main character of this poem? A. Ollie. B. Steve. C. Karen. The poem is all about Ollie the Octopus. He is the main character of this poem. We learned that Ollie does different things when he gets scared. What is one thing he does when he is scared? Ollie A. hides by the rocks. B. jumps in the waves. C. runs in circles. Ollie hides by the rocks when he gets scared. He also shoots ink. What is the setting for this poem? A. the jungle. B. the ocean. C. the swamp. According to the poem, Ollie lives in the ocean. The ocean is the setting because it's where the poem takes place. Ollie the Octopus lives in the sea. Which of these words rhymes with the word sea? Is it A. free, B. can, C. bath? The words sea and free have the same sound. They are rhyming words. Writers can write poems with rhyming words to tell stories in a fun way. A lot of poems have rhyming words at the end of each line. A poem can have a character, setting, and a plot, just like a story. What is your favorite poem? Read it again and think about who the poem is about and what is its setting.
When poets sit down to write, they have an idea of what the poem will mostly be about. The poet wants the readers to recognize this big idea so they can understand what the poem is mostly about. Poets include various clues to let readers know what to pay attention to in order to figure out the big idea. These clues can include the title, the opening and closing lines, reoccurring details, the repetition of words or ideas. Poets choose titles very carefully because they are the first clue to what the poem is mostly about. When I read the title of this poem, I'm pretty sure it will have to do with something with summer vacation. So let's continue. School is over. Summer is coming, and I'm supposed to be happy. The 2 months without math problems, science experiments, and without fables, poems, mysteries, and folk tales. So I'm getting the idea that the narrator of this poem may not be too happy about school being over because instead of saying I'm happy, she says I'm supposed to be happy. We need to pay attention to this thought since the poet put it first. Generally, the first words or lines are important to understanding the poem. So now we know from the title that school is coming to an end, and from the opening lines we know the narrator is not happy about this. Now I see the narrator is thinking about the plans her friends are making for the summer, but no one is planning to read books. This has to be important because the poet repeated the thought line and lines 2 times. So let's see. Some of my friends are talking about their plans to go camping, visit relatives, sleep late, and watch TV for hours. No mention about spending time with fables, poems, and mysteries and folk tales. Other friends are talking about playing baseball, going to the beach, and staying up late. Still no mention about spending time with fables, poems, mysteries, and folk tales. Well, I plan to visit with them for hours because 2 months without fables, poems, mysteries, and folk tales seem like a very long time to me. No mention about spending time with fables, poems, mysteries, and folk tales. Still no mention about spending time with fables, poems, mysteries, and folk tales. Poets usually pick their words and thoughts carefully because they often don't fill up many pages with thoughts as books as authors do. If they do use space to repeat thoughts and phrases, they must be important ones. School is over, summer is coming, and I'm supposed to be happy. 2 months without math problems, science experiments, and without fables, poems, mysteries, and folk tales. Some of my friends are talking about their plans to go camping, visit relatives, sleep late, and watch TV for hours. No mention without spending time with fables, poems, mysteries, and folk tales. Other friends are talking about playing baseball, going to the beach, and staying up late. Still no mention about spending time with fables, poems, mysteries, and folk tales. Well, I plan to visit with them for hours because 2 months without fables, poems, mysteries, and folk tales seem like a very long time to me. 2 months without fables, poems, mysteries, and folk tales seem like forever. So what else did you notice? The poet repeated the same 2 lines, the same thought 2 more times, Repeating lines and thoughts are used for emphasis and direct the readers to important information that leads to the big idea of the poem. So when they repeat phrases and words, you know that's important. We've spoken about that before. 2 months without fables, poems, mysteries, and folk tales seem like forever. The poet even closes with that thought, so you know it's important. 2 months without fables, poems, mysteries, and folk tales seem like forever. I know it's really important to pay attention to the closing thoughts poets leave with. If I put together these last thoughts about how not reading certain books seem like forever, I think I have a pretty good idea of what the big idea is in this poem. Remember, the beginning and the end of the poem's lines are very important, along with the title. And every time we hear repeating words and phrases, that's also good clues. Clues the poet gives us. First, the title, School is Over. Opening thoughts that school is over and the narrator is not happy. They are repeating lines and reoccurring details. Keep saying going without reading fables, poems, mysteries, and folk tales. And they're even closing this thought with the narrative plans to visit the books because 2 months without reading is too long. So what do you think this poem is mostly about? I guess this narrator is just like me. She loves to read and can't spend the summer without books. So in your reads today, you are going to read the poem, reread it again, because good readers always reread, and then think about how the title helped you understand the poem. What are the opening words or lines or phrases telling you? Or any words or ideas repeated or add any kind of meaning to the poem that help you get to the big idea? And what is the last thought the poem left you with? How did they end it? And what do you think the big idea of your poem is? That theme.